Okay, I've seen some strange controversies, quote unquote, on the internet since my time of joining it. But, uh, this one is just really stupid. Over a meme. It's over a fucking meme. Okay? So, TheFloofArtist, he's this guy or gal on YouTube who made this series of videos called Ruby is Broken, where it details all the animation problems in Ruby since Volume 4 started. And, he's one of those guys who are like, Ruby's just not worth watching, ain't nothing of value, everything sucks. And, of course, with the way that the actors and the CRWBY and the crew itself are acting, you're just like, no, there's nothing, there's nothing we can do to, like, just sit down and, like, nah, this is good. Like, we're just not going to do that anymore. So, one of the big topics in Ruby discussion is of the ship Bumblebee and how a majority of the fan base at this point either are lukewarm about it or like, I fucking hate it. And Floof is one of those people. So, and just to give you a little bit of context here, Floof has been, going crazy on Twitter, spamming stuff about how, he or she's got a lot of work to do for school and everything, and they haven't been doing a lot about Ruby as of late, especially since the release of Volume 6, but still makes discussion post on Twitter about it. But then he posted a meme yesterday, and it was of the moments, the moment where Yang and Blake took down Adam in Volume 6. Well, instead of Adam being in between them in that photo, this was an edit that someone else made, by the way. He posted this edit of Yang getting stabbed by Blake, and it was fucking hilarious. And, it's funny. It really is funny. And he also tagged the creators and the cast in the photos, and it's freaking glorious. It's really funny. But, you trigger people who love their lesbian fanships, then you're gonna get outright, you're gonna get decimated in responses with people saying, you need therapy, there's something mentally wrong with you for doing something like this. And it's just a meme, damn it. It's a meme. Alright, I'm not kidding. There's people literally in the comments saying that the Floof needs to go to a mental hospital, or that they're being a terrible person just for reposting a meme. And then a lot of people were having problems with tagging the creator. It's like, kinda, but, I mean, that's nowhere near excruciatingly bad on the Twitter scale. And if you're just gonna say that, and you're gonna ignore the crazy shit that the CRWBY keeps saying on their own personal Twitter accounts on a daily basis, from calling from the jailing of their political opponents. And I had a conversation with the dude about this too. He said, you're judging the entire CRWBY on a few people reposting opinions and shit. And I'm like, well, I kind of have to, because if no one in the CRWBY is going to deal with that in a professional sense, they're just going to keep doing that shit, knowing that people are going to disavow with them because they're like, oh my god, they're posting out these zany political conspiracy theories and are getting into their fights with the fans on a daily fucking basis, which is also another point in this video that we're going to get to. People, the CRWBY say stupid shit to everyone, and that's one of the reasons why I'm like, I don't like the CRWBY, because they're assholes. Miles Boone in particular. Barbara Dunkleman, I kind of thought was one of the more moderate people there, but in recent months, no. And in this one, this little controversy here with the Floof and Barbara, it's a little weird one, but still, people are like, you're just being spiteful against them, you're being a hateful douchebag. And it's like, the CRWBY have done far worse to its fan base. Calling out criticizing them is not something. Alright, like seriously, you're pulling the same logic. These people are pulling the same logic with people who like, these are the same people who defend Rian Johnson for the shit he did in The Last Jedi. It's like, yeah, he did shit. But guess what? People can criticize him in whatever shape or form they want, just as long as it's not death threats. These aren't death threats. These aren't threats against a person's life or anything like that. It's just sharing a meme that the guy didn't make, and it's just a funny. It's just a funny. Why are you overreacting? But then again, if you're in the American anime community, lesbian ships are the fucking big time. You disagree with lesbian ship, you're outright casted as a homophobe, even if you have legitimate criticisms of just how the ship is made itself. It's just, you're a homophobe automatically. No matter the actual concerns for writing that you actually have in the work itself. So that's just, that's just fucking funny. And it's crazy. Alright, and a bunch of people are, still adding Max at this point. They're like, and he's saying, Max is like, there's nothing of value in the show, and they're like, well, there's something of value in the show, but if you look at it in retrospective, there's really nothing of value in the show anymore. Not even in the story. Like, the story has taken such a sharp turn away from what Monty had set up, that nothing in continuity is, of any concern for the actual plot. Nothing actually matters. Just things are there on the screen. And it sucks. But so, now let's get into the meat of the matter here, which is the Floof's conversation with Barbara Dunkleman. And Yellow Flash has actually inserted himself into this. I don't think he quote tweeted Barbara's tweet about voice actors. But we can get to that later, but he did quote tweet that. I don't think he came to the defense of the Floof, but still, he's still there. So Barbara tweeted something that was like, it's not super controversial, but it's also kind of dumb at the same time. Okay, so the tweet goes, friendly reminder that if there's a show/series that you don't like, find issue with, or used to like but don't anymore for your own reasons, no one is forcing you to watch it. Let people who enjoy it to continue to do so and move on. And then she has the emoji smiley face. You'd think that would be non-controversial. But this is the CRWBY. One of the CRWBY. The same CRWBY insinuates all the time that people who criticize their work are homophobes, disregard their criticism in some cases, like Miles Luna, where they're like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, you freaking retard, on all the stuff that happens behind the scenes, even though Rooster Teeth has always been very open about their productions. So it's like, if you're doing something stupid, people are going to call you out on it. And, whenever they get into discussions about the actual quality of the show, they always shut down the argument as just, you're a hater, you're a hater, you're a hater. So that's pretty rich coming from her. And there's also probably a couple things that I'm betting the prequels, where she criticizes people who like a certain thing, just in the way that people criticize RWBY. And people who like I said, the prequels, she is probably one of those people. So Max responded, so no one is allowed to talk about shows that they thought weren't that good or dropped when the later season wasn't to their taste. That's the message you're spreading to people. Anyone can talk about any show they want to for any reason, and that is absolutely true. Absolutely 100% true. That you can talk about whatever you want. So whatever topic you want to talk about, you can talk about it. Free country. Number one. Number two, when you're talking about forms of entertainment, like, the discussion shouldn't end with, oh, you don't like it, don't talk about it. That's stupid. If you have a reason you don't like it and you want to talk about it, you talk about it. That's what people do. We like having conversations with each other. So, Barbara then responded, why waste your time? When I don't like a show, I stop watching. If someone reaches out and initiates conversation to me to ask why I don't like it, I'll answer and explain to that person. I don't waste my time trying to get people to stop watching something they enjoy. Well, that's the first problem. Because, if you're just not, like, if something's bad and you're trying to get, if you're not trying to get people to stop watching stuff that's bad, that's kind of dumb. because there's some pretty bad shit out there that people really shouldn't be watching because the quality is so poor. And if you spread around all the bad shit, guess what? People are going to start eventually thinking that the bad shit is actually good in an objective standard, which it's not. Which is why people are still out here today defending The Last Jedi. Which is exactly the point that I actually made to her. So people have their own reasons for doing it. Don't just assume it's always out of full-blown malice. This is why we're knee-deep in debate over the quality of the Star Wars nearly 2 years after The Last Jedi. We should be striving to make quality as artists, which is what we should be doing. And oh yeah, don't forget, Barbara also famously stated, and this was, I will admit, this was in a joking tune, but at RTX one year, people were describing a flaw, and then she responded, "It's a cartoon." And that's like, you know, even if it was a joke, that's still kind of just throwing out criticism out the door just because it's a cartoon. And I think more than likely she's actually done this on Twitter too to actually dispel criticism. That, oh, it's just a cartoon, get the fuck over it. It's like, wow, you must like The Legend of Korra then, don't you? So, Max then responded back, because the people who do like the show complain if you don't watch it. Dang it. Because the people who do like the show complain if you don't watch the show or drop it, and especially complain if you say that you don't like the show that they like. I was told Genlock was going to be good by excited fans, and it ended up being my worst show of 2019 that I watched. Which, you know, I actually made this point back to her, but we'll go further. We'll get back to that later. And then Barbara was like, no one will complain if you don't watch the show they do. They may suggest it since they like it and want to share their joy with others. It's natural for people to get defensive if you attack them for things they like and it serves no purpose. And then has a picture up the bottom that says, shh, let people enjoy things. It's like, then Max responded, I've seen dozens of RWBY fans complain to me after I dropped the show. I've been harassed over joking about its numerous plot holes or character contrivances, and I get called a hater because I point out that every RWBY episode has many continuity mistakes in its animation. So, Max ended up getting, you know, heckled by a couple people, where people were like, it's distasteful what you're doing. It is so aggressive that you're tagging the creators and everything. You're getting into this argument with Barb over this. So just grow a thicker fucking skin. That's exactly what Max said, just grow a thicker skin. And it's just really dumb, these replies. And I'm just like, wow, guys, you can't take a fucking hint. You can't take a fucking hint, guys. It's just bad. And then if I can just pull this back up, I called out Barb on this point here. If I can find it, I don't know where I can. Okay, finally found it. But she's like, letting people enjoy this. It's like, well, you're not gonna stop people from harassing you for not watching something, because guess what? I was a kid when Twilight came out, and this is the point that I was making here. I was haggled as a kid for not liking Twilight. Ended up watching 10 minutes of it. I ended up making a typo, said "and it" instead of it. But I watched 10 minutes of it and almost immediately cut it off because of the shit quality. I did the same to people who never watched Star Wars before. You're ignoring human nature. And that's not necessarily a controversial point, to toot my own horn there, but yes, people are going to absolutely heckle you if you don't watch what they like. Like I said, you're ignoring the whole Star Wars debate that's currently underway right now. But not only that, and this is something that needs to be said, kids and adults kind of undergo like different, how they respond to different ideas or different perspectives, or reacting to people who have never seen this certain thing in much the same way. It just comes to the adult to act a bit more dignified in that response. Right? Because as a kid, I got heckled for not liking Twilight. I got heckled for not liking all these popular things that were out around the time that I was a kid. And guess what? A lot of people were like, you're stupid. You should be watching this. You're retarded and everything like that. And I did the same thing to people who never watched Star Wars before. I was always heckling them to watch it because I thought Star Wars was amazing and they thought Twilight was amazing. Well, guess what? I watched Twilight, thought it was shit. Got over it. Alright, get over it. Okay? And I'm just like, these people are like borderline saying, like, without actually saying it, that criticism does not equal telling people not what they're supposed to be acting like in regards to this, but that really is what they do, and it's really, really dumb. I mean, seriously, I don't understand how there's being able to make these arguments, because these arguments are pretty dumb and they're absolutely basic, like they come from a child. Because guess what children will do when you criticize something they like? They're gonna outright heckle you for it. They're gonna call you names. They're gonna try to straw man your argument. They're gonna try to do things that ruin the quality of the work to your mind. And that's exactly what these people are doing. Is they're trying to, tone everything down, but not by acting in a dignified way, but acting like a child. Okay? This is something that everyone has been doing with film criticism, basically since films were starting to be made. Though not as much back then, but more so since the 90s, especially with The Phantom Menace. I know the film's bad, but Jesus Christ, a lot of people acted pretty fucking immaturely to that. So my whole overall point right now is that the Floof doesn't deserve anything to happen to him because of this. I actually agree with the points that the Floof is trying to make. And then people outright overreacting to a fucking meme that person didn't actually even make, of one character stabbing another, and then people getting all hit in a hissy pissy because, oh no, you made her stab her. Oh no, this is such a crime against fucking humanity. Jesus Christ, get the fuck over it. Get the fuck over it. It's a goddamn meme. Like, it's no wonder that college campuses is falling apart. Because these are the people who are watching the show. College level people who are being fed all this bullshit about safe spaces, about microaggression culture, about all this stupid bullshit that they should be believing. Alright, and I'm also going to bring in another guy, Muffin Man Dan. People accuse him on the RWBY subreddit, or some type of thing on Reddit, that he hacked, like, public domain information. And it was all came after he did a 40-minute video explaining why he was done with RWBY. And people were, going around on Twitter spreading false shit about him, like he was doing something wrong, even though he was looking on the internet at stuff that was perfectly legal to find. Kept accusing him of hacking shit. The RWBY fandom does not give a shit about decency. Like, not the mainstream, at least. I mean, there's at least a decent portion that are pretty good and are just outright laying out their criticisms. Now, I'm just not gonna go out there and just state that everyone in the RWBY fandom, or at least people who like the show, are just complete douchebags who are full of themselves. No, there are some really decent people in there. I used to be one. But good lord, there is a bunch of them in there. I'm going with like a 60-40 on this. That if you do anything to criticize their lesbian ships or criticize any of the writing or animation quality of the show, then it's just like, no. Why are you acting like that? Things have really gone downhill for RWBY ever since Monty died. It wasn't as apparent then that things would just get this bad, but it has really gotten this bad. I don't know why it has gotten this bad. I mean, look, this was all a man's creation at first, and then he was not able to fully deliver that story because he died. And you'd think they would do anything in their power to finish it like the guy would want it to be finished. But not only have the CRWBY not done that, it seems that the fans don't really even care about that anymore. Because one of the biggest discussions right after Monty Ohm died was, are they going to stay true to what he laid forth? Are they going to do it in a good way? Or are they going to end it? And honestly, looking at it now, I think they should have ended it. Because this is the way that they're just going to act with the dead man's work. With the dead man's work, man, this is something that cast and crew, you can get attuned to the characters, but you're not the people who wrote the characters, who had stuff in mind. And then going out there saying, and because Barbara, remember, she's also the lady who said that Bumblebee, or at least insinuated that Bumblebee was planned all along, even though that there were so many plot points from the past in the first 3 volumes, first 4, actually 5 volumes, that dissuaded that assumption. So just the biggest perversion to me is how they're just throwing what Monty set up out the dump, and they're just throwing it into the dumpster. I mean, nothing makes sense anymore. Nothing has any form of consistency. The animation has become complete dog shit. And they won't... But remember when they would criticize themselves? The guys who made Red vs. Blue, they would always criticize themselves for not going far enough with Red vs. Blue. For not going the extra mile. Where everything was still good. But they always hit themselves because they were like, damn it, this should have been like this. But we couldn't do it because we were too damn lazy. We're not getting that anymore. They're like, no, everything is better, and everything is better. But they're woefully ignoring their animation mistakes and aren't even actively trying to fix them. It's ridiculous. It honestly is. Like, the way that the CRWBY has really handled themselves, and you're just gonna add Barbara to this big list of freaking people at Rooster Teeth, and that were, at least in one way or another, involved with RWBY. They're just assholes. They don't want a discussion. They don't want an actual debate over the quality of their shows. They don't care. They just want to milk the money and virtue signal. But honestly, I don't know what happened to the heart and soul of Rooster Teeth, but it's gone. And it's basically been gone since Monty died, I think. Maybe even before that. Because I know a lot of people were criticizing Red vs. Blue's quality right after season 11 hit. So, I don't know where it can all go from here, but all I can tell you is right now, things ain't looking good for film criticism. And oh yeah, I'd like to see how that argument works in a debate with EFAP. I want to see that. I want to see the long man bad and the toxic wolf go onto this thing. That would be fun as hell. But yeah, anyway, that'll be it for this one. Just another sad day in Caucasian history. Took that line from National Security. It's a fucking amazing movie. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't die, and I'll see you next time, hopefully with the Hitler vs. Rooster Teeth Part 2.